But for the subjects which people want to talk about on a Friday night, I often invite people to send in suggestions, and tonight is following one suggestion. Somebody was reading some of the sutras of the Buddha. These are the early teachings of Buddhism, and I'm getting a bit confused on the place of like love and lust and desire and affection in Buddhism. And what actually is the place of love in the Dhamma in Buddhism? Is love an attachment? Is love something beautiful? Is love going to get you into trouble? What is the place of love in Buddhism? And it's relevant because, as many of you know, I wasn't here last week. Sister Hasapanya was here. You see our nuns there starting to give talks, which is wonderful to see the development of our communities here. And I was away in a conference in Sri Lanka, and then a talk in Singapore, and then another sort of conference in Malaysia, in Malacca. But it was the 90th anniversary of a temple in Malacca, and they wanted to do something, instead of just doing rituals and ceremonies, to have like a group of international speakers. So as it was, I was free, so I accepted the invitation to go there. But one of the unexpected events which happened there was a lady who was, she'd heard me talk before, and she was getting married. And about 3 months ago she thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could get Ajahn Brahms to do my marriage blessing? But how can I get him to come all the way to Malacca? It's impossible. And even though that was her hope, she just went past the temple and she saw this big sign saying that Ajahn Brahms is coming to Malacca on the very day that she'd arranged her marriage. So she was so delighted that she could actually get me for her marriage ceremony. And of course, I bless anything. So I was very happy to bless her marriage for her. She's a model. She's got her own TV show in Malaysia, so she's quite a well-known personality there. And why is it that they want a spiritual person as being part of their marriage? What is important there? And of course, being as a monk, you always actually question, you investigate everything you do in life. Why is it that at that time when a person commits to another person, why is it they always want a spiritual part to the life? What is actually spiritual about that love? And this is what I'm going to talk about, and how you can make use of the understanding of the love which you feel at a marriage, which sometimes you lose later on in your relationship. How you can actually take that and use that and bring it to a higher level and understand the place of love in the spiritual life, and how you can take it to levels which you maybe not realize are actually possible, and to get sort of a beautiful and powerful and blissful type of love which has got no one, no ownership, no person involved. But let's start at the very beginning, because one of the reasons why people think that Buddhism is against love is because at the very, very beginning, we have love starts with lust when you're very young, and sometimes it's very easy to confuse the love with the lust. And it's not as if the Buddhist monks are like a Puritans and say lust is no good, and you must all be celibate like we guys up on this platform up here. Monks are not Puritans. Buddhism is not puritanical, and it's very sort of celebratory of all the different aspects of life. I remember reading a definition of Puritanism just before I went overseas, and that is, the definition of Puritanism is the fear that somewhere someone is happy. Some religions are like that. As if if you're happy, you must be making a sin or something, or you must be doing something wrong. And certainly I think you've seen this the way that the Buddhist monks and nuns have taught here. There's nothing like that at all. We're fun-loving monks and fun-loving nuns. But when the Buddha was talking about that first type of lust, he said, well look, there's pleasure there, there's also danger there. And it's also, he called that the escape. There's three little things which you look at with each of these different aspects of your life. The pleasure in the lust, but also the danger. And also knowing that there's like an escape, how to avoid those dangers. And of course you all know sort of the pleasures of lust, but the dangers also, and that's where you have sex or have a relationship outside of your commitment. So you have a partner in life, or maybe a temporary partner, but if you start playing around outside of that committed relationship, that causes a huge amount of pain and trouble for people. And even though that should be quite obvious, still that sometimes just the lust becomes so powerful that we forget the fact that it's going to hurt us. At the moment it's great fun, but later on it's going to cause all sorts of problems for our family, for our kids, and for everybody else who's involved in that relationship. Now, that's all very well to know the danger, but unless you know how to escape from that danger, in other words, the strategy, so you don't put yourself in that position, or so if you do find some lust, you can actually do something about it. One of the things which I said over in Malacca was the importance of honesty in a relationship. And I mean really important, to raise honesties to such a high level that you respect it above everything else, even infidelity. What I mean by that is if your partner comes up to you and says, "No, darling, I'm really sorry, but I've had lust to somebody else, or I've even actually kissed them, or I've even had a sexual liaison with them." If they come up and own up and are honest to you, respect their honesty so much that you won't scold them or punish them. You give them what you might call amnesty, because they've been honest. Because the very fact they've come up to tell you what they've done means that they trust you and they just really want to repair the hurt which they've done. They have the right intentions there. They were weak, they made a mistake. But their honesty is such, they want your help. That's why they told you. They want your help to try and make sure they never do that again, and they can put the relationship with the person they really love back on track. But what happens with most people? They're so afraid of being scolded. They're so afraid of what you will say to them. They're so afraid that, that basically that it will hurt the whole relationship. They never tell the truth. They hide it. That's one of the reasons why relationships fail. Because we don't trust the other person to understand that we're frail, we are weak, we made a mistake, and we're afraid of being scolded. It takes a lot for you to do that, to respect honesty so much that you can allow the other person to say some really, really bad weaknesses, and you don't scold them. Because if you're scolding them, if you tell them off, if you get really upset, are they going to tell you the whole story in future? Obviously not. The same with parents and your children. Please, if your children are honest to you, they come up to you and say they've taken drugs or done something else, please don't shout at them. Don't scold them. Say, "Thank you so much. You've been honest with your mum, with your dad. I forgive you straight away. Now, how can we work together so that we can solve this problem so it never occurs again?" If you don't have that sort of attitude, will your children tell you their problems? Or will they be scared to tell mummy and daddy about the mistakes in life, even their big mistakes? So honesty has to be so high in the values which we espouse that it takes precedence over everything else, and we want to encourage it so people in a relationship don't hide things. And that gives you an idea of what love truly means. It means, okay, you've got sort of lust sometimes, but there's a love which is higher than lust. That type of love is something which is more selfless